the other thing is and when I started, my knee was bothering me. I was sluggish with my running. My body didn't feel right. And I think my body had just not been coordinating correctly for the year. And part of it is to balance my body out because my body was always taking the lean to the right. So I had to work harder to balance my body out when I run so that my right side was always taking the brunt of all the running. That took all the weight. So now I'm working on shifting the weight from my right to my left and to have it more even, which makes it easier, and that makes my run more efficient. My runs just weren't being efficient, and it was frustrating. And so I've gotten past that at this point.
What do you feel like was the biggest difference between what you were doing before and like what we did together?
Well, first of all, because I had to stay accountable. I mean, I did stuff before, and I did some strengthening. And the strengthening I did was a total body, and it wasn't focused on specific, on what I needed for running. And I think the exercises I have are a lot more focused on exactly where I need them in my body. I mean, I did, because when you train and you take the classes and stuff, it's not always the consistent same thing. We're changing things up, which is important because you don't want to just do 4 or 5 muscles. But I thought, like every couple of weeks, we'd go in and see what's working, what's not working, and there's a progression. And when you take classes, it's a generalized thing. But here, like as I improved, we progressed. Not that I liked it, but we progressed, and that's the progression. And I think for me, it's hard for me to do it for myself when you don't have the objectivity. If possibly my husband was a runner and understood some of that stuff, it probably would have been different, because when he does stuff, he doesn't like listening to me. But, I tell him, I said, this is what we're looking at. These are the muscles. But again, this was a little bit more focused and personalized to where I was and where I need to move forward. Kind of.
Tell me a little bit more about like where your running was when we first started working together and where it is now.
Okay, well, when we first started, I was very frustrated because I was coming out of the holiday season where I'd been sick between colds and flu and crap like that. But even before that, I was struggling to finish a 5K. I was doing it, but not but I was struggling, and it had been kind of progressive through the year, because I remember last April when I did the Chickamauga one, my whole left side, I was having difficulty on one side to the other, which had never happened before. And I did a couple races, but I was struggling with them to get through the 5K, just because, and even when I ran the one last fall, the last one I ran before I started this was in November, and I struggled for that one, and it's one that I had done easily before. And so it's like somewhere my body just wasn't connecting, and I wasn't running efficiently, and that was making it more difficult. And I struggled with, and then my knee started hurting all over again. So, and again, that had to do with the lack of balance and stuff like that. And that's where I started from, where I was just walking and I wasn't even comfortable with walking, and my knee was bothering me, and I was struggling. And I never experienced that before. So I was bummed.
Mm-hmm. Fast forwarding to today, like, tell us a little bit more about like the races that you've done more recently and how that's been different.
Well, no knee pain. And so these days, I'm much more conscious on where the distribution is and why it's happening. And again, I can run the first 2 miles great. The third mile I'm still working on, but I don't have the sluggishness that I'd had back like 6 months ago. I just was sluggish, and I was pushing myself through it and thinking like, why am I doing this to myself? Whereas as now I feel stronger, and I don't have like different parts of my body that are sluggish and hurt. And my knees not hurting, obviously. So, and that's the strongest and the best it's felt in like 5 years, because I've been struggling with the knee for about 5 years. I mean, it'd be fine, and then I'd be having trouble, and then whatever. But in December, last fall and winter, it was just getting progressive, and I just didn't know what to do. I wasn't going back to the doctor again. They just want to put shots in my knee.
Exactly. That's amazing to hear, because you've had a really great progress. And I know you did get a couple of medals in your most recent race.
Yeah. Just when you're older, it's easier to get those medals. Less competition.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else that you wanted to add?
It's been a great process. It's the best because it's the best training I've had, because otherwise, like I say, I haven't found a running trainer here. And everything is done like a group train. So, but they don't do an analysis of where your body is and how you can improve it. It's just like, so if you want to get better, just keep running more miles. But, and again, and this is what always frustrated me before, it's like, yeah, keep running the miles. But if my form wasn't correct, it was only reinforcing bad form. And when you're running, I thought I was running fine until I looked at the video. I was like, oh, that's so well. But and again, unless somebody can sit there and point it out to you, that's why you have a trainer. That they say this is what we need to improve and a specific way to get it. So that is, I think, one of the biggest benefits that I've had. Yeah. Somebody to look at it and say, here's what we need, here's how we need to improve it, and you don't normally get that unless you have a specific trainer that does that.